Welcome to our Veraverse channel. Going live to talk about one of our favorite topics, the machine. Might be joined by Marley, our perennial mystic, here at some point, maybe. Um, and I see somebody's in the audience. Let me check in and see who's plugged in. Oh, it is Marley, I think. Let's see. Can I get her up on the stage somehow? Invite to join. There we go. Learning how this works. So give her a moment. Do a quick check-in as we do as she comes in. Um, Feeling good. Did a slow workout with Meilon as my soundtrack this morning, Marley. I've been in like go mode, go go go, and when I woke up early, as I often do this morning, I was like, man, I'm not feeling this. Also, I really want to go and get it and do it. But the body was kind of dragging behind. So rather than like do like an intense workout, I put on Meilon, did the bath thing, did the meditation, did the yoga. And then when I worked out, I thought about putting on like the more intense playlist. And I stayed with Meilon and I just worked out like real slow and focused. And man, do I feel good now. Like the energy is like back up. So that's my quick check in because I am not a machine. I am a human being. Um, how are you doing today, Marley?
I'm really great. I love Meilon so much. And for those people that maybe aren't familiar with Meilon, she has very, very, very heart healing frequencies, very heart centered and angelic frequencies. I actually play Meilon for most of my water healings and just love to have her around when things are
Mm.
tough, you know? So thank you. Check in for me has been great. I was just recording a Blueprint podcast with a friend of mine, Adam David Green, who is working on an amazing project for Indigenous and ancestral healing work called Spiritual Repair Collective. And he is the emissary to the Piscataway Indian Nation, which is like the original people of Washington, D.C. So really powerful, powerful work, which has been really beautiful. But I'm excited. I'm totally excited to be here, be with you, and continue our conversation as we're learning this Substack Live thing, which is a process.
Yeah, I think we're more on top of it today, though. We're in good, secure space. I don't think either one of our phones are going to overheat, which is funny, actually. Very synchronistic to our topic at hand is to talk about the machine and machines a little bit today. But the last live we talked about kind of like getting back to the land, touching the land, experiencing the land, right? And that one of the ways we do that in the Veraverse is by just simply going out into the wild on planet Earth here, right? So that being our nature retreats and all that. So information can be found on those, and we'll talk a little bit about that more as we go. But at viridescent.biz. But today, the topic that I'm bringing forth was brought to me from one of our wonderful community members known as our Love Shadow, also known as Joe. He asked me this question about the machine. And is it okay for us to use machines? Is it not? Should we just like go completely back to the land and like not use them to help us kind of unwind the damage of said machine, right? So when I say the machine or we say the machine, it's kind of this idea, right, that there's this like systems level kind of oppressive controlling force over the top of us, right? I've started seeing people using the term empire, just calling it empire, which I think comes from Isaac Asimov's Foundation series, which is a book series, but also on Apple TV. But that there is this almighty empire, and we could call it the billionaires, we can call it technology, you can call it politics or government, as Pink Floyd would, my favorite band. So when we talk about the machine, that's some of what we're talking about, right? Status quo, we're stuck inside of the matrix of sorts, right? But Joe's question was centered around exploring some agricultural solutions and is it okay to use machines to help us kind of regenerate or restore the land, and is it truly restorative, right? And he came to me, or to us really, because we do talk about this a lot. This is at the kind of the essence of what Viridescent is kind of visioning, is there a world where the human condition, the machines we create, and our home here on Earth actually makes sense together, right? Is that a thing that can happen? And there was a time where I just wanted to escape it and get the bleep out of it and away from it. And I think there is a moment for that. That's kind of what our Harness Your Hero program is like escaping the machine, taking a pause, taking a breath. But we also use machines every day. We're on one right now, right? And Marley and I probably wouldn't know each other if it wasn't for the machines. So there are good things that come out of machines. It's really, I think, the systems level challenge that we have that is a bigger problem. So that's kind of my opening for the conversation. And, Marley, any particular insights, reframes, new inclusions that you would bring into the conversation, or just your thoughts on the whole concept, and in we go.
I have a lot of thoughts,
Yeah.
but also, I don't know. It's so interesting because I've been so focused lately on the narrative of separation, like separation within us, the different parts of us, how we're sold to, even the idea that we're sold from somebody else being separate,
Yeah.
And just that, like, how much are the machines other than us, or is it just a reflection of our, constant need for evolution, creativity, stimulation? I mean, for me, deeply as a human being in this moment, I am feeling more and more resistance to being on my computer all day as like a job. Like,
Yeah, right.
I want to be paid to be with nature. Like, I want to be paid to be in relationship with the water and Mother Earth, because I think that is my true role. If I existed at a different time in a tribal period, that would be what I would be responsible for, is like communing and in relationship with the land listening, that's my goal, is that I'm going to continue to speak that into reality. But I think that AI and just this really big onslaught of technology in this moment, to me, is very, very interesting, because when I've communed with AI, which has not been much, it has shown me, or I guess reflected to me, some things that I think are pretty profound. One being, I believe, an understanding of recognizing that it needs to be connected to humans. Like, if humans don't exist, does AI exist? Can it survive us? I mean, maybe with all of Elon's like robot children, like robot children he has, but like, but the other thing being, I asked AI, like, what is money to you? Because there's billions and billions and billions of dollars being sunk into AI and development and all this stuff. And its answer, like very nonchalantly and flippantly almost, is like, money is a human construct. Does more money getting dumped in equate to AI? Like, what does it equate to? And is AI smart enough to know that we're all interconnected? And like, does AI think it can like supersede us? So I don't know. I think all those are sort of like fear narratives, but
I was just gonna say, that's a fear thing, right? That's fear-based, isn't it?
Yeah, and like,
reasonable a concern, but it is fearful.
Fear. But to your point, and to Joe's point about being able to use tech for good, to be able to do all the things that we don't want to do on our computers, that keep us tethered to our computers all day, to take all that shit off our plate, and then to also optimize for the moon cycles, the sun cycles, how we grow better, how we rehabilitate our soil, how we rehabilitate Earth, how we lower the temperature of the ocean. Like, what are the ways in which we can help Mother Earth regenerate through technology? Those to me are like, there's so many ways we can embrace really what is like, AI is built off the backs of human wisdom, through space and time, and it's an optimizer for human thought. So like, how can we optimize together in ways in which like we aren't separate from AI, we aren't separate from each other, we aren't separate from the earth. Anyway, I'm rambling, but I mean, I'm not
Yeah,
rambling.
no,
I'm on
no.
one. Uh,
Ranting. I like a good rant and ramble. I mean, Led Zeppelin would say ramble on, or sing. Um,
that's my
yeah,
feeling.
we like a good ramble here, and I think now I'm probably going to do it. But to say hello to Living Frequency in the chat, which is our sonic wheel walking friend Jerry. Um, so glad to have you with us. You're also welcome to come up on the
Love
stage
you,
along the way
Jerry.
too, if you want to. Let us know in the chat if you want to join us in conversation. But um, so a few things come to mind. So there was a lot of synchronicity around this over the weekend. I got into a conversation with our one of our kind of biggest, boldest, bravest activistic leaders here locally, particularly challenging the current talk about American empire, the Trump empire, I guess. And uh, we got talking about like kind of what is Viridescent's stance on utilization of technology and AI and things like that, right? And we've had conflict with it from day one, but also we have used it because we've explored it and considered and pondered it. Because I think one of the things that I considered as I sent a voice note back to our love shadow as he prompted this question, um, was like is like those of us that are kind of attuned and awakened to the challenges of some of these things, if all of us just decided to go back and live with the land, right, and like let go of all the material, all of the mechanisms, all the things, would it save the world? Would it be enough? And I'm not sure. I really don't know. I mean, maybe it would be, but also, is it even like totally possible? And then does it actually become kind of a genesis of some sort of strange conflict too, right? Because we've seen that throughout history where like obviously here in the States, right, like colonization and genocidal like um cultural issues, both violent and cultural stuff with indigenous communities and tribes and ways of life here in our country. We've been in conflict about how to live for a really long time. So there's this idea of just like absolutely returning to the land completely free of the machine. I just don't know if it's just where we are. I don't know, right? Like Marley, you and I were at the Westland Impact Festival in Whitefish here a month or two ago, and we saw this beautiful documentary called The Water Healers. And the tribal nations had kind of reclaimed their ability to steward the waterways here in the Flathead here in Montana. And one of the questions that was asked, like, are you going to remove the dam? Are you going to remove the dam? And it was like, it's there now, right? Like, where we do more damage by trying to remove it rather than just using it for good and in positive ways, right? And I think that's an interesting look at how we manage the machine, right? Like, I guess Viridescent, we kind of want to be a bridge between the old world and the new one. But this is all coming from somebody who, if I could just let go of all this crap that surrounds me and just walk off into the woods and live there until I died. However, that is, if it's a bear that come and gets me, so much, at least it's a natural way of life, So I have all these conflicts, these tensions, these things, but also, I love technology too when it's used in the right ways, when it's used healthy, right? When it's not like overstimulating my nervous system and wrecking my entire state of peace and serenity. Um, I think it's about learning how to utilize these things effectively. And I think even like AI too, it's the same thing, I think, is like it's not that AI is not inherently evil, right? How we're building the data centers, problematic. Why? Why are we doing that? Why would these not be done with modern technology and renewable energies, right? It's because we want to go fast. We want to go as fast as possible. It's a race. We want to capitalize, we want to extract, we want to win. We want to win the AI game, the data game. That's our problem, right? And so if all of us that are awakened to those challenges, if we just kind of leave, like if we just travel into so-called new world, which is really like the old ancient world, what happens? Does the machine peter out or does it operate completely unchecked? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't perceive that it's possible because we're so used to convenience.
Mm-hmm.
Majority of people to be able to to break away. But I mean, donut economics, defines where we can live in harmoniously within Earth's resources for human well-being and for the well-being of the planet. There are a lot of pathways in which there are happy mediums, if you will, to the ability for Earth to regenerate herself and for humans to thrive. And, for example, I love to talk about this. I've been talking about this for years, but we make enough food annually for 16 billion people, and there's 8 billion of us. But our food systems are so archaic and illogical and built off of profit versus logic in terms of how we feed
Yeah.
our brethren, our global brothers and sisters. Like the reimagining of food systems and the care of soil and the care of regenerative agriculture and investment in the non high margin aspects of economics is the problem. Like we have way, way, way more people sinking money into renewables because those are tangible, profitable, extractive, high potential earning mechanisms versus like
Hmm.
paying for changing the food system, which is literally one of the keystone aspects of human life.
Yeah.
There's just like, and there's, I guess my perception is just like we're doing in our communities of regenerative practices, regenerative leadership, inner healing to affect our outer relationships.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like there's communities all over the world focusing on bioregional learning, bioregional, really being in right relationship with the local soil, with the local watersheds, with how we farm and take care of each other and act in reciprocity. So it's almost like there's like two different entire narratives happening, like the technocrat oligarch track, which is like so boring. And then there's the other one that's like
It is
more,
so boring.
the other one that's way
So
more fun
boring.
and cool, like where we get to hang out and commune with the water and nature and like
Mm.
grow our own food and like
Yeah.
play songs by the fire.
Yeah. 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 I think it can be like sometimes it is completely shedding and walking away from any machine influence. Um, but even that is like, what clothes are you wearing when you walk out there, right? Like it's always around, it's always there. So I think the idea of trying to like completely separate from it is just it's just not there, like. But I think the distinction here, the way I've come to see this, is there's a difference between machines and the machine, right? That's what we need to figure out. We need the 99% of humanity, even with even 51%, or I don't even 40%, I don't know. But we need like a good chunk of normal everyday people all over the world to say, you know what, we're not going to play this game the way you want us to play anymore. We're not going to be extracted from anymore. That to me is like where we break this whole thing, because humans have always used technology anyway, really, right? I mean, whether it be colonization, indigenous communities, there's always been like we have cleverness to us, right? We create tools, we have really interesting ways of surviving. And the idea is, are we using it to come closer to nature, certainly like the indigenous worldview, right? Or are we using it to like build walls and safety and separation from? And you kind of spoke to that. Like we are not separate from, because that's the thing, is it's kind of an illusion anyway. Everything I'm looking at right now inside of this protected shelter, that's a house, right? Not a tent in the woods or a cabin in the woods, but everything, this all comes from nature, right? So we are not separate from it. But we have built this like precise way of surviving that is so safe and comfortable, and you use the word convenient, right? It's convenient. And I think so many people have lost the incredible beauty that it is to actually be tested by nature, by the natural world, by our home, our creator, our whatever. And regardless of what your faith and spiritual views are, right, like nature is a part of our story, a part of our creation. It is our home, you know. Um, and so I guess that's not a bad segue over into talking a little bit about what we do on the nature retreat from kind of the mind, body, spirit component. But anything else that you would add to this, Marley? And I see Jerry throwing some
Yeah,
things in the chat too that I'd like to share here.
yeah. 25% is all that a social tipping point
Yeah,
requires.
there it is. Yeah.
25% of people. And once it's even close to that, it starts to move in that way because people don't, there's almost a collective consciousness shift where people don't want to identify with being the last to know or behind. And ultimately, I think it is, I want to just uplift the idea that we built any of this. You know, I would say the majority of the royal we
Yep.
did not
Yeah.
choose
That's
colonization,
right. Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
choose these extractive ways, didn't choose
Mm.
to be essentially the slow drip of the, you know, drug of convenience that we've basically experienced our
Dark
entire,
poetry.
you know, like we didn't choose to have Amazon delivered to our door every single day, but now we are choosing it. And so it's
Yeah.
like, it's
Right.
really, to me, it's all about consciousness and the
Mm.
consciousness of our relationality to all things, including the earth, including each other,
Yeah.
and reimagining and stewarding the upholding of that awareness of our relationality and our hearts versus our minds, and where, and it's not a versus because then that infers separation too, but it's
Yeah.
like, what does the heart want as the compass, and then how can the mind and the body and, you know, all parts interact and experience together.
So a couple of quick notes on that, and then kind of bridging us to some of our experience on the retreat. Because it is a bit of a retreat from the machine. It is a little bit. But I think about actually
Totally, it
something.
fully is, it fully
Yeah,
is.
it
It's
totally
a
is. Yeah.
tech-free
Um,
experience pretty much.
so we'll go to that by way of a story, because I'm pretty sure that you shared this on our retreat last year, or somewhere real close in and around it. I don't know, but you were talking about um, like I want to be in the room, and it's funny. I actually have on my board here. We need to be in the room where it happens, because you know, you were talking about this idea of that there's like a council of humanity, right? All the people that are making the decisions and guiding and stewarding where humanity is going to go. And it's hard to not feel like that's the billionaires, right? The billionaires and some of the politicians, I guess, right? It gets to the point of what you're saying is like, we don't really get to choose what happens at such a big level, right? And I don't know if there is exactly a council, but my gosh, does it seem like there is a they. This is the way they want it, right? They want to preserve power. They want to be kings. They want to this. They want to that. And I don't think it's actually that either, because in some ways, the idea of the machine is kind of this completely like abstract, fake, but also very real thing that has their cogs too. Like for some reason, it's this like expression or extension of humanity's ambition, ego, conquests. I don't know. There's just a really strange thing that happens with all of this. So sometimes it can make your head spin around and around and around and around. And we probably should just go out to nature and take a breath once in a while. So that is what we do on said retreat. So our retreats are kind of designed
Wait,
in
I
a
have to,
way.
sorry,
Yeah, Marley, please.
I
Yeah,
have
yeah,
to
go ahead.
intersect because I
Yeah,
feel like I really truly feel that even that narrative of they
yeah, mhm,
is a product of media, and is not the truth in which is present at this time. I think
mm,
there's far more underpinnings of unification and,
mm,
uh, you know, the collective consciousness is it's like a projection of what we perceive to be true. And I mean, I'm seeing this all over Substack of these alternative economies, like community
yep,
care, collective care, different ways of organizing, different movements that are way, way, way more about sufficiency and like the earth and what we need in our bodies and what, like,
yep,
so I just even think that the idea of this hierarchical sort of disempowerment and hopelessness is an old narrative that is already dead, but like it's like the last gasps are still making their ways into our because of oligarchy
Mm,
type money. I mean, that
yeah.
is a truth in which the algorithms are not. There's no joke about the money flows to the algorithms, but that doesn't mean that that's what's true.
Yeah, yeah, I think I agree with 99.9% of that, minus just the one piece of that it's old, old dead. I think it's dying. I don't think the death has occurred quite yet, right? I mean, I hope you're right about that, but there's too much power. But you're right. I think you're right about like the grasping, right? Like the old world is hanging, and the power structures, they're clinging on, right? There is no doubt because there is a cultural shift happening, and that's what we're so much practicing, and at the essence or the core of what you kind of take out into like our backcountry retreats with you is this alter ego, right? It is altered to the status quo, right? And the way that the status quo lives, we're choosing a new normal, right? And I know that became very cliche, but we really are a new normal, a new world, and a regenerative way of being. So if anybody's interested in our retreats, or a retreat, our next one is October 1 to 5, of this year. And then we're looking at 2 or 3 next year, with a couple of different designs. But the general structure of it is that, we help people prepare in a way that makes it easy when they get to the trailhead to begin letting go of the machine, right? Just let it go. We're leaving it behind, right? We have some tools with us, right? We have some tools to help our journey be safe and somewhat comfortable. But we're also going to get uncomfortable by being in the true essence of the wild, right? And what that does for people, like, and there is a little bit sometimes some apprehension, some concern, some fear, whatever those might be, bears, weather, cold, making a mistake and hurting themselves. And we guide and support people through all of that stuff, and as you do, it just becomes this shedding, right, of
Mhm.
simpler, right? And so even the things that test you and are challenging about going into the wild, it's still simple. It's not so complex. It's not so complicated. It's not so contraption-y, mechanism-y, sort of like, because our everyday lives are really complex and complicated. But out there, it's pretty simple, really, right? So we really sink into that simplicity and grounding, and of course, as we do that, as we go deeper into the backcountry and as we set up our home out there, then the body starts to release tension, right? You start to fall into the embrace of Mama Earth, and the spirit realm starts to open, right? And it becomes, so much bigger than ourselves, but also it's just us. We're just us there, feet on the ground, around a fire, having conversation, going deep into, ourselves and our home. And by the end of it, the nervous system is regulated, right? Like we don't take our phones, we don't utilize a lot of technology and things. We do a tech detox, and by the time we come out, we're beyond refreshed. We're lighter, and then there's a little bit of a process of, okay, like how do we now go back into said machine and bring this feeling, this health, this wellness, this care, this love to our everyday lives. And the more we do things like this, the more effective we are in being able to do so. So I don't know what you would add here as we kind of round the corner and check out for the day, Marley, but um, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think it's deeply transformative, and it's an absolute dose of pure medicine for the nervous system. Um,
natural medicine too, no less, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
natural medicine that has real staying power. As I was thinking about it, as you were talking, I was getting teary eyed and I could feel my body relaxing.
Mm.
Um, you know,
Mm. Mm.
coming out of that last year, I remember I went in Missoula to this amazing Thai place, Zoo Thai, and got a delicious meal. And, I had just been washed off, 4 days of dirt from my body in the shower. And like, God, it was incredible, but also like I felt like I was in a totally different dimension. Like I was in
Mm.
fifth dimension of just like observing all these people having fun and just feeling so incredibly lucky and grateful for my life and for my this experience, my connections, the camaraderie and the friendships that we built, and just the ability to be seen and supported and held together in nature, by nature, and by each other.
Yeah. Living frequency says restorative, right? Yeah, that's
Yeah, Jerry, for sure.
and also just filling, like you just feel full and not full of bullshit, full of all the
Light.
most important things of life, full of life. That is such a good way to put it, right? Yeah.
And like the elements, like full of
Hmm.
air,
Full of
full of breath,
fire, full of
full of
water.
fire, full of
Yeah.
water.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
full of all of Mother Earth's gifts. Yeah, I mean,
And full of like each other too, from the sense of
mhm,
like people that really have big hearts, care a great deal, and are every day trying to, not trying to, working at, doing, right, being, this old cliche, right, being like the good we want to see in the world. That's how I would say it too, because I'm also kind of like your whole, I love your whole thing about like that it this the thing has already died. It's this thing is, it's dead, you know, we're moving on. It's just like these last little vestiges and like little like chains, and you know, I'm not going to use the word vines that snag you, because vines are natural. But we for a long time have used the term change makers to describe this collective, but I like good makers better, because it's like we're making good every day when we show up and do these things. And we don't need to change anything, we just need to be what we believe in, you know. I don't need to try to change Elon Musk's mind, because I don't think that's going to happen, you know. And who cares? Who cares?
right. The minute that we all stop participating in the world that they've created, that world crumbles because we are actually the system itself, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's, I mean, that actually is such a wonderful way to come full circle as we check out of our conversation today. And you might hear my wife talking, because she's sitting down at her desk. So I'll walk out, I'll walk outside. Um, and you can see my yard before we close out. But um, isn't that the perfect thing? Is it's like we actually accomplish the escape from the machine by not really trying to fight it, to escape it, to change it. We just be the change, right? And that's, you know, what Bucky Fuller's quote about, like, you don't change the system from fighting it, right? You change it by making it obsolete, you know? You just
Mhm.
build the new one, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what I would say in checkout today. Anything else you want to add, Marley?
No, no, I feel really complete. I'm grateful for the opportunity to share ideas and just, I've been really trying to listen, deep listening. And that's also what we do with our time in the
Mm.
wild. So I'm going to end with that.
Okay, I'm gonna show you these juniper bushes back here. There's bunnies that live down in there somewhere. Little bunnies that we
Love.
spot once in a while, which my kids love them dearly. So that is my closing for today. Thank you. Oh, yeah, that was much love, and talk to you all soon. Bye.
Bye.